Happy Thursday. You guys are doing fantastic. So today we're going to talk about anxiety of fear. Oh, it's not that one. Alright. So is something working here? Impact of fear and anxiety we're going to talk about today. So let's get into it. Fear is a human emotion that is triggered by a perceived threat. It is a basic survival mechanism that signals our bodies to respond to a danger with a fight or flight response. As such, it is an essential part of keeping us safe. You agree with that? Let me know in the comments. Just leave a yes or no, it'll be perfect. However, when people live in constant fear, whether from physical dangers in their environment or threats that they perceive, they can experience negative impacts in all areas of their lives and even become incapacitated. Let's find out, how does fear work? Fear prepares us to react to danger. Once we sense a potential danger, our body releases hormones that slow or shut down functions needed for survival, such as our digestive system. Sharpen functions that might help us survive, such as eyesight. Our heart rate increases and blood flows to muscles so that we can run faster. Our body also increases the flow of hormones to an area of the brain known as the amygdala to help us focus on the present danger and store it in our memory. How fear impacts our thinking. Once the fear pathways are ramped up, the brain reacts in predictable ways. The brain short-circuits more rational process paths. The brain reacts immediately to signal from the amygdala instead of the normal rationing process. The brain receives events as a negative. When this overreactive state, sometimes called the amygdala hijack, the brain perceives events as negative and remembers them that way. We notice and store all the details. The brain stores all the details surrounding the danger, the sounds, sights, orders, time of day, weather, and so forth. These memories tend to be very durable. Although they may also be fragmented, the details of the event can trigger fear later. Have you ever noticed that? Yes, it's true. The sights and sounds and other contextual details of a fearful event might bring back the memory, or they might cause us to feel afraid without consistently knowing why. Because these cues are associated with the previous danger, the brain may seem them as a predictor of threat. In severe cases, this can result in PTSD, reacting to cues which were associated with the previous dangers as a predictor of threat. This often happens with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. For example, a soldier, when experiencing a bombing on a foggy day, might find himself panicking when the weather turns foggy without knowing why. Interesting. Impact of chronic fear. Living under constant threat has serious health consequences. 1. Physical health. Fear weakens our immune system and can cause cardiovascular damage, gastrointestinal problems such as ulcer and irritable bowel syndrome, and decreases fertility. It can also lead to accelerated aging and even premature death. 2. Memory can be impaired, formation of long-term memories, and can cause damage to certain parts of the brain, such as the hippocampus. This can make it even more difficult to regulate fear and leave a person anxious most of the time. To some in chronic fear, the world looks scary and their memories confirm that. Brain processing and reactivity. Fear can interrupt processes in the brain that allow us to regulate emotions, read non-verbal cues, and other information presented to us. Reflect before acting and act ethically. This impacts our thinking and decision-making in negative ways, leaving us susceptible to intense emotional and impulsive reactions. All of these effects can leave us unable to act appropriately. Mental health. Other consequences of long-term fear include fatigue, clinical depression, and PSTD. So whether threats to our security are real or perceived, they impact our mental and physical well-being. Other possible consequences: PSTD. We can learn more there. Just go to the email and check out the link to learn more about PSTD if you like. And what happens in the community impact? When groups of people in our community fear for their safety on a daily basis because of the color of their skin or their gender expression or other perceived identity, this injustice and resulting trauma impacts all of us. We cannot have a safe community until all members of the community are safe. Inherited trauma. We're almost done there. Cool. Just checking. Let's see how much more I left for the article. Is it possible to experience fear and anxiety because of trauma that didn't even happen to you? Some researchers say yes. The research in this area is still evolving, but there is some evidence that it is possible to inherit the impact of trauma from our ancestors. Interesting. For example, some children and grandchildren of the Holocaust survivors may have high trigger for anxiety, depression, and chronic fear. Descendants of survivors of other massive trauma, especially slavery and attempted genocide, often report symptoms that are similar to those experienced by people who endured the traumas themselves. As a result, communities of African Americans, Indigenous people, and other marginalized groups may experience a shared sense of grief and ongoing fear. This inherited trauma is often compounded by the reality of ongoing discrimination and brutality. Interesting. Alright guys, so I found this article from Louise Delgram, and I found this in Take Charge of Your Wellbeing blog. Alright, thanks guys. Have a great Thursday, and be positive, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Thanks guys. Bye.